Hi everyone, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and I am here with the last design for our Market Tote series. We've made some awesome Market Totes this month. In fact, I think we designed my very favorite Sewspire bag this month, and I am here today to inspire you with what I'm calling a blank canvas. This bag is huge and it has tons of design potential for you. You could add pockets to the front exterior, the rear exterior, the first interior compartment, or the second interior compartment. I would like you to meet the dual divided maxi tote. This is a wonderful bag for your summer adventures. We're coming in at about 7.5 inches by 12 by 12 by 16. But what definitely sets this bag apart from the rest is the double compartments on the inside. So basically this is 2 market totes in one. I'm going to show you how to craft the bag as shown here in this one video. It's a full tutorial. We're going to make the exterior and the 2 interior compartments. And then you can decide what kind of pockets you'd like to add to this amazing bag. It's great just as is. You don't have to add any pockets if you don't want. Sometimes, pockets can actually take away from the function of the bag. In particular, if you need a lot of storage space and you're carrying bigger items, pockets maybe aren't essential to you. But you definitely have the ability to max out the design potential on this bag. So, shall we get started? Okay, so for this tutorial, I have done a little advanced prep work. I am going to link to the 2 bags that inspired this combined version of the Market Tote, and that is the Maxi Tote and the Classic Market Tote. All right, so if you've been following the Market Tote series for this month, you will be up to speed and be able to just use this tutorial. If this is the first you are hearing of the Market Tote, you will want to catch the 3 other tutorials which I produced this month about the Market Tote. So what we have here is a Maxi Market Tote exterior and 2 of the Classic Market Tote interiors. So we are going to begin with the pattern pieces which you will need for this project. So this bag is going to have little fabric ties on the top that will draw in those outer edges, and these measure 3 by 21 inches, and you will need 2 of those. You're going to need 2 straps which are 6 by 30 inches. And you are going to need 2 exterior body panels, which are 21 inches across by 18 inches tall. And they have 4-inch notches out of the bottom right and left hand corners. And there are 2 of those. The exterior panels will be backed with a like-sized piece of the Annie's Soft and Stable. You can substitute that with Decoville Light, quilt batting, fusible fleece if you like. For the interior compartments, which there are 2 interior compartments, you will need 4 panels of quilt weight cotton, which measure 15 inches tall by 18 inches across, and you're going to notch out 2.5-inch corners out of those 4 panels. All right, so for the construction process for the 2 interior compartments and the exterior, you are going to be using a flat corner method of construction. So you will pair up 2 of your interior panels right sides facing. And then you will pair up the remaining 2 interior panels, right sides facing. And working one set at a time, you're going to stitch down the right hand side, the left hand side, and across the base. For the interior panels, it's important that you only use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, once you've stitched the right hand side, left hand side, and across the base using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, then you're going to reach inside of that interior compartment and you are going to line up the side seam with the base seam, and you can nest those seam allowances there. So one's going one way and one's going the opposite way. And then you're going to use the same 3/8 of an inch seam allowance to stitch right across there, and that's what's going to give the compartment its depth. And you will repeat that for the opposite corner, just aligning the side seam and the base seam. Okay, you're going to repeat that exact process so you get 2 interior compartments. You will take the top edge of those interior compartments and you will fold that over an inch and press that. Again, you're going to need 2 of these interior compartments. Now, as mentioned, your exterior for this project is much larger than the interior. Again, that is 18 inches tall by 21 inches across, and you have 4-inch notches out of the corner. You're going to back each of these with a piece of the Annie's Soft and Stable. If you are not familiar, Annie's is a wonderful product. It's a nice 1/4-inch foam there. It is perfect for bag making. If you Google Annie's Soft and Stable, you will find a supplier for that. I order mine in a bolt because I use so much of that. So you're going to back that with a like-size piece of the Annie's, which is wonderful because it adds stability without adding weight, and you can still wash your bag. And then you will follow the exact same process. You'll take your panels backed with the Annie's, position those right sides facing, stitch down the right hand side, left hand side across the base, and then fashion your corners, which will end up creating approximately an 8-inch depth on the bag. So I have, as I showed you before, pre-crafted 2 of my interior panels and my big, beautiful, deep exterior. I used a really wonderful Japanese cotton linen for the exterior, the Annie's, and then a high quality quilt weight cotton for the interior. There is no interfacing on the interior with one exception. In between these center panels, I have cut out an insert of the Annie's Soft and Stable that is tapered to 12 inches across the bottom and 15 inches across the top, okay? So cut out a 15-inch square and then using your ruler, angle that in 1 inch to get a piece of foam that's 12 inches across the base and 15 inches across the top and 12 inches tall. And that piece of foam is going to be inserted right in the center here. And what that's going to do is offer some stability to that center panel, okay? So after you get your interior compartments crafted and your exterior crafted and you've cut out this little foam insert, I want you to test fit your panels inside of your exterior. And you can just tuck that insert right under one of those lips, because I want you to understand before we sew that these side seams for these interior compartments are going to fall 1 inch in, so to the left and to the right of the side seam of the exterior. So we only want to stitch 1 inch from each end of this center compartment. Every time I present a bag with a divided interior, people ask me about why we're not stitching seam to seam once I take these compartments out and we attach that. And it's because we need that extra material to attach to this exterior. So the only way that I know how to emphasize that to you all is to have you fit your pieces so you can see you are in fact going to need to stop short on that stitch line so that you can have some fabric that will lay up against that exterior. So hopefully I have explained that well to you and you understand the logic there. Now I'm going to remove my interior compartments for a few minutes here, and this panel here, which is the insert, is just free floating at the moment. So what I want to do is take my 2 interior compartments, which I just showed you how to craft, and I want to lay those one at a time, nice and flat on my surface here. And on this first one, I'm going to go ahead and tuck this foam up under that lip there. And I'm just going to center it under that lip of that first interior panel. Then I want to take the second interior and I want to lay that right on top of that. So these side seams are both aligned. And now I want to pick up the 2 panels in the center. And I'm going to make sure that I have that foam captured in there. So the foam's right up against the top, and I've marked 1 inch from each side seam with my clip there. And so I'm going to stitch only across that center and the foam, 1 inch from the seam. I'm going to back stitch really well on each end. So I'm starting 1 inch in and stopping 1 inch in. And the right hand edge of my presser foot is aligned with the right hand edge of those center panels. You want to make sure that you're not accidentally stitching that front of that compartment. Okay, so you can see I have joined the 2 interior compartments along that center common panel, and I have captured that foam in that stitch line. So if I flip that over, here's what I have there, and that foam can just free float in between there. Its main purpose is just to reinforce these center panels here. And you'll notice I stopped 1 inch from each side seam, and it's definitely okay if it's a little more than 1 inch because you can come in and touch that up. But if you over sew there, your lining is going to be too small for your exterior. So now I want to bring back over my exterior, which when you craft your exterior, you're going to turn that right side out, and then you're going to fold over the top edge of your exterior so that it's turned inward about an inch. And then you can pop your double compartment interior in there and start by centering the side panel at the exterior side seam. Again, those seams aren't aligned, but the center panel is aligned with the exterior. Go ahead and get your clips on the sides first, and then you can come across the front and the back at center, clip that, and then come in at the quarter marks and add some additional clips. Make sure you tug on that and get a good fit. Okay, so that's looking great. Now I want to craft my handles and my ties. The ties are going to be positioned at center on the front and the rear, and we'll draw in those exterior panels so that the bag has a fun little closure on it. I have one of each prepped. For the strap, I have selected the same awesome Japanese linen, and I have run 3 rows of stitching down that, so I have a nice ribbed strap. And then this is a fabric tie, also crafted from the linen. If you are not familiar, I'm using a 4-ply Sewspire strap making technique. So you'll take your 6-inch by 30-inch panel, and you're going to press that in half long ways. Open that up, bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line. Insert a 1.5 inch or 1.25 inch strip of the Annie's, soft and stable. Fold that back over, align the folded edges, and press very well. For the fabric tie, you're going to use the same process, except at one end you're going to press that over about an inch, and then you'll press long ways, bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line, and fold over again and press. You will be stitching across the top of the finished edge of that fabric tie. The opposite edge can remain raw because we're going to tuck that down in between the interior and the exterior layers of this bag. So to begin with the handles, you're going to want to stitch along that open edge first, then the opposite edge, and then right down the center. And you'll have 2 of those pretty rib straps and then 2 of the fabric ties. For the fabric tie, I like to start stitching at that finished short end, and then with the needle in the down position, I'll pivot and continue down that open edge. Alright, and then once you have your 2 straps and your fabric ties, you can bring back over your bag, and you are going to want to position your straps 4 inches from the side seam in between that exterior front and that first interior panel. And I like to switch to the long flat pins when I am positioning the straps so that they don't shift. and you're just tucking that raw edge in about an inch, inch and a half in between those layers. And then your fabric tie is going to get tucked right in between the two handles at center, with the finished edge out. And then you're going to flip that over and repeat the process on the opposite side. Handle 4 inches from the outer seam. Make sure your handles are the same height. And then position that second fabric tie right at center. And you can do the same thing and verify the fabric ties are the same height as well. And then if you are satisfied with that look, you're going to remove your machine deck and fit this up on the machine, and you're going to start stitching as close as you can to that side exterior seam. You're going to come across, back stitch at the handle, back stitch at the side tie, back stitch at the handle, and then stop as soon as you've gone as far as you can, which should get you pretty close to that side exterior seam. Then you're going to cut the thread and start on this back side. Same thing, get as close as you can to that seam. Reinforce the handle with a back stitch, reinforce the tie with a back stitch, reinforce the handle with the back stitch, and then go as far as you can to that side seam. After you have secured the bulk of the bag, basically you're making 2 C's there, one on the front, one on the back. Then you're going to come back in and touch up if needed, and you can actually work from the inside if it's easier for you, and just connect those seams. It won't be much, but there might just be a little bit of touch up that you need to do. Another option is if you have a rivet press, you could go ahead and just add rivets there and skip that little tiny bit of touch up that you're going to have to do. So the important part of this process is just to go nice and slow and have that awareness of where the fabric is, because you don't want to accidentally over stitch at this point, and you don't want to stitch in any wrinkles. So I like to clear my work surface so nothing gets trapped under there, and then very carefully position my bag up on the machine deck. And you can lift up your presser foot there and fit that under there and back in so that you can get nice and close to that side seam. And don't be afraid to look underneath there and make sure that you are sewing what you intend to sew. Okay, so my front is secure. Now I want to push all those layers over and fit on the back of the bag. And I'm just lifting up that presser foot and backing that in to start on that seam. Okay, and I've made it around the rear panel there, and the bulk of my bag is secure. Now I'm just going to come in and join up these seams here on this center panel and get the most advantageous angle that you can, and then connect those seams. Okay, so I've gone back in and I've touched up the little edges there so my seams join. And then I went ahead and added a second row of stitching to each strap there just to reinforce those, because this is a big, beautiful bag. So it has the potential to be a little heavy if it were fully loaded. And then you can see how the side ties function there and draw in those front and rear panels to offer you a little bit of security for the contents. And those can, of course, be knotted or tied in a bow. I want to point out that you have tons of design potential here. You could add pockets to the front and rear panels of each of those compartments. You also have the ability to add pockets to the front and rear of the exterior. This is just an awesome blank canvas for you to add your special touches to. So before we say goodbye today, I just want to give you some measurements here. So across the base here, I'm coming in at 7.5 inches. And then height-wise, 12 inches. Across the top here, we're at about 16 inches. And then across the base, 12 inches. So this is a really nice size bag. It would make a wonderful pool bag, multi-purpose bag, mommy tote. She could put the kids' stuff on each side, or she could use one side for the kids and one side for her stuff. So tons of potential here. I'm really excited to hear what you think of the design. Please leave me a comment below and let me know how you like it and what types of pockets you might add to this bag. Ta-da! Oh, this turned out great. I'm really happy with this design. This is actually the first time I've ever made this bag. So I'm really happy that my measurements came together as I had hoped. I do, of course, have a fair amount of experience designing bags that have the multiple compartments on the inside, but there is a little bit of math that you have to do when you want to calculate those measurements for those interior compartments. And that is a process that I learned just through trial and error. But I do teach that in my design masterclass on occasion. We have another session of AMC, it's called, stands for Andrea's Masterclass. Beginning, you would need to be a Sewspire patron to participate in that. You can become a patron for as little as $3 a month. So if bag design is something you're interested in, follow the link to the Patreon page down in the notes and check out that community and see if maybe you would like to join us for AMC 14. The focus for that masterclass is going to be on eco-conscious design. So everybody who participates will be designing something that is environmentally conscientious, and that is completely up to the designer to determine how it benefits the environment. But it's a really wonderful community we have built over there. The last AMC of the year, we will be recycling a coat and turning it into a bag. So that's something for you to keep in mind if you are, again, interested in bag design. As a huge bonus for becoming a Sewspire patron, you have access to more than 2 years of masterclasses. Everything has been archived there on the Patreon page. So a huge deal. If you have a little bit of extra time this summer and you would really like to dive into your sewing and your bag design, that is a wonderful resource for you. So I hope you like the bag. This will conclude our Market Tote series for the month of May. It's been an absolute pleasure. We made some gorgeous bags. I'm going to link to all the Market Tote variations down in the notes for you. You also have the ability to hop right over to Sewspire.com and you can find everything in one spot. It was a pleasure to sew with you. I'm so grateful for your continued support and interest in the channel. If you haven't had a chance yet, please do hit the subscribe button. I have a goal this year of reaching 100,000 subscribers. When I do, I'm going to have a special live stream event and give one lucky subscriber my brand new Janome Skyline S3. So click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll be all set. So until we meet again, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. I hope you have a beautiful week, everyone. Thank you very much for sewing with me.